Welcome back to the A4Q Testing Summit. It's so wonderful to have you here with us today. With me today, we have Mariami and David from the GEO STQB. It's such a pleasure having you with us, and I'm so excited to hear more about your topic, enhancing manual testing with AI. David, over to you.
Hey everyone. Thanks, Abby, for introducing us. It's nice being here and presenting the topic. As Abby mentioned, we are going to be talking about how can manual testers enhance their testing processes using AI tools. And we are going to be diving into the facts that not only automation users can do that, but also manual people as well. As Abby said, today we are, Mariam and I are going to be presenting this topic. Both of us are from GEO STQB. I'm a QA automation engineer, and Mariam is a QA chapter head. And let's dive into the topic itself. As we said, the topic title is Enhancing Manual Testing with AI, but what exactly does that mean? First of all, let's look at our agenda. We are going to be talking about the main topic about do really only automation engineers can use AI? How can manual testers use AI? We're going to be comparing AI tools using one prompt and see how different are results for these two different tools. Also, we're going to be generating some test cases and test data. And at the end, we're going to be talking about how can AI help in API testing as well. Let's dive into that. First of all, the first question, only QA automation engineers use AI? The short answer is no. As we all know, the automation engineers use AI tools to do some design patterns, to implement them in their test scenarios, test cases, etc., to generate some test data for the test automation scenarios and other things as well. Technically, how can manual testers use AI? And for that question, the answer is kind of the same, but in a different way. We can, as a manual testers, we can also generate test data, but not for our test automation code, but for our manual scenarios. We can do some test processes and generate some test scenarios, which are we gonna be talking about a bit later. First of all, the tools we're going to be using, we chose two tools. One of the most popular ones is ChatGPT. It's the free model for O Mini. It's quite good. It gives some brief and fast answers, and it developed quite well for the past couple of years. And the Perplexity's Playground model, which is a free trial model we're going to be using here. So let's dive into that. One of the ways you can use AI in your manual testing is in white box testing. And what I mean here is that usually what manual testers do, they approach their testing in a black box way, meaning they don't really know what happens in the code. And this is like the 90% of the time that happens in manual testing, at least. But there are some times when the manual testers actually have access to the code itself. It doesn't mean that they're utilizing or using that knowledge, but it's just there. The good example is open source projects. When any change is implemented, you have a PR created by a developer, which means that technically you can just open that PR, check what was changed. If you don't understand the code at all, it will make no sense for you. But if you have some basic knowledge, you can make some sense. But additionally, you can use AI tools for that. You can just take the link of this PR, provide it to the ChatGPT or whatever model can access the internet, and ask it a question. And the question is to analyze these pull requests, to give you some brief introduction, some description, and maybe ask some scenarios. And we can see that the ChatGPT can easily do that. It can just summarize the changes of this PR, give you a brief description of what was changed on what part. We can see here that we have like a summary, and we also have some potential test cases. What that allows us is it doesn't give us the all answers to our questions at all. But the good thing is that it might provide us with some additional knowledge, some additional ideas to provide in our test cases, something that we might have never thought about. Just because the AI tool can analyze this pull request, it understands the code, and it can gives us some things and some insights that we would not understand otherwise, because manual testers usually don't really know how to code or how to understand the code or stuff like this. The other usage is the log analysis. And as the testers of any kind, either manual or automation, logs are the things that we have access almost always. And given that we are human beings, and the whole idea why testers exist is because of the human error. If developers never made any errors, testers wouldn't have any jobs. also applies to humans as well. To us testers. When we go through some text dump in logs, there's a high chance we're going to miss something. There's a chance that we're going to overlook something, or just because we so got used to the text itself, we think that something that is actually an error is just a normal thing, just because we're humans. But it's different for AI tools. We can just take as shown in this example, we can just take some logs, which shows like some warnings, errors, and ask ChatGPT in this instance to analyze this logger. Also, it doesn't mean that it's going to give us some super mega insights in something, but as we can see here, it kind of categorized it into different errors, warnings, given that the log itself had the uniqueness, time steps here in this case. It can give us when, what, and why happened as well, because it all is provided in the log. Sure, given that the log is really good organized, which is a rare case, but anyway. The next usage is the test data generation. It's probably the first thing anyone would think of when using the AI tools. And it's something that really simple for test automation engineers, because we have really good tools, sometimes integrated in our IDEs and stuff like this, that just provides us with test data like emails, UUIDs, time steps, and stuff like this. Manual testers kind of have to sweat with that, like go to the Google, search it, or sometimes come up with the unique emails and passwords by themselves. But we can also use the AI tools for that. We can just ask it to generate a random email address for testing, and it will provide it to us. Then we can ask it to generate the password for this email. Then we can ask it to generate 5 emails, and for each email generate passwords and stuff like this. You can go even further and give it some examples, like use 12 characters in your password, use Cyrillics, use Chinese characters and stuff like this. It's really simple to use. It's faster. It's faster than going to Google or using any other tool. Also, continuing with that, with test data generation, we can just ask it to generate some nested JSON files. It's also a good usage. I've seen many people needing that, and you either go and search for like a sample JSON file, which they are in the internet, or you just generate it by yourself manually, which is a really mundane process, and nobody likes to do that. The bottom line for these examples is that it's a really good tool. It helps you to enhance your workflow. You can speed up some processes like generating test data. It's not like we cannot do all these things manually ourselves. It's not like ChatGPT is so smart that no human can reproduce these things. I can easily go through these logs myself. I can easily generate these emails myself, but it just speeds up the process. It makes my life easier and makes my work faster and more efficient. As for other examples, Mariam is going to dive a bit deeper. She's going to show us some really good prompts and some really good usages of AI. So, Mariam, please continue that. And thank you.
Thank you, David, for speaking about log analysis and test data generation. My part here is to show you guys the prompt that we have chosen to give to ChatGPT and Perplexity to see how it will generate test cases based on the user story we have provided. So the first prompt we have chosen to give ChatGPT and Perplexity is regarding the e-commerce platform. So on a daily basis, we use e-commerce platform to buy some stuff, and everyone is familiar with this platform, and this is the reason why we chose prompt related to it. The idea of this prompt is to generate test cases. I want to be able to add products to my shopping cart, view the contents of my cart, and proceed to checkout, so I can complete my purchase quickly and easily. So the main thing to understand when we are working with AI tools is to give it as much details as we'd like to receive in the response. We will see now how ChatGPT has generated the response to our prompt. The first thing we see here is the title of the test case. It is also generating the test case unique IDs that are helping us to identify which test cases are generated and how many test cases are there. We also see the description. precondition, steps, and expected result. So basically, ChatGPT is using the standard structure of test cases, we can say so. It is navigating us through the process that we have described in our user story based on the steps that is provided in the response. However, in the perplexity, on the next slide, we can see a bit more details regarding these test cases. So the first thing that a perplexity did, it offered us to take this user story and categorize it within 3 main functionalities: adding products to the cart, viewing cart contents, and proceeding to the checkout. So Perplexity has given us a bit more details about how to organize test suites that will help manual testers to write test cases in some test case management tools such as Case.io or maybe TestRail, whichever you are using. And the categorizing of those test cases is really a major part of creating test cases. So Perplexity, we can say that helps us out and told us that you can pick like one functionality, adding products to the cart, second functionality that you can view a little bit of details of your chosen product in this cart. And from that, you can go on and continue writing test cases. So we can see on the next slide the differentiation between the structure of those two generated responses. As I said, the ChatGPT gave us test case number, the numerization, IDs, descriptions, preconditions, steps, and expected results. Perplexity gave us everything similar, but additionally, it has given a little bit of a hint of what we could do more with our test cases. It has broken down the functionalities into specific scenarios. It gave us an objective of what each category of test case represents and how it would be better to continue from each test case. And also, I'd like to direct your attention to the part where Perplexity also has offered us a little bit of a questions after the test cases. Maybe we have more things to tell Perplexity with the reply, and it will give us more details about those test cases. ChatGPT, on the other hand, it didn't quite generate like automatic replies for our prompt, but it is waiting for us to give them more information to receive more response from it. What I would like to do next is to give a Perplexity a little bit of reply to generate test data values for provided scenario. The goal of it is to see whether Perplexity can give me, let's say, not quite enough test data for testing, but how different those test data will be. Will it be just valid test data or invalid ones? So the first thing I did was to ask Perplexity about valid test data generations. And based on the categorized test suite, it has given me name of products like Apple iPhone 14 Pro Max. It has given to me quantity of the product, price, and total cost of several products that I might need to add to the cart. So with this, I would say that AI is helping me to think of more test scenarios than just a single one. Like I'm not testing only positive scenarios here. I'm not interested if I'm able to add like a single product from a single category to a cart and proceed to a checkout then. I am interested in real user actions, like should I add more than one product? Should it be like similar product but different quantities, or different products with the single quantities? And will it summarize price correctly? Will it apply like sale correctly or not? Also, regarding the negative test cases, what should we take into an account? First thing would be if I'm trying to add to the cart product that is out of the stock, maybe I don't quite remember that I should take this kind of products into account, because they might not always be visible to user, as they're automatically taken from a website once they are out of stock. But during testing, I had this experience that we are able to manipulate with the product quantity during testing, because we have several test environments and users for that. So I had open two different browsers to two different users, and provided the quantity of a product to a single. And I was trying to add this product to the cart from both of my different users. First user was able to proceed to a checkout, and the second user was on the checkout page, like 1 second away of pressing the purchase the product, and he was also able to purchase it. And on the admin side, I saw that the product quantity went from 1, not to 0, but -1. So to avoid those kind of scenarios, we might not quite think about what kind of scenarios we should take into account when we are testing the quantity-based test scenarios. But if I will ask AI about negative test cases and negative test data, it will help me to think about more user actions, what they could do wrong, what they can do at the same time. So in this way, the coverage of test cases will expand, and I will have more bugs to report to developers and make their lives better. So to go to the next slide, here I would like to talk about a bit of API testing. So I often hear that API testing is for automation engineers only, but to be honest, I don't think that the API testing should be the main responsibility of an automation engineer. I don't know, David, maybe you disagree with me, as you are a professional automation engineer. But I think that manual testers, to become senior and advanced level of manual engineers, they should also understand at least basics of API testing. But the most challenging thing here is that when we are using tools of API testing, such as Postman, we need to understand the scripting. Like Postman supports JavaScript, and it is used for response data validation, and also for generating random data for the request payloads. This is the main part I'm going to talk about right now. So the main requirement of us was to generate password that should contain from 6 to 12 symbols, uppercase letters, lowercase letters, and special characters. The goal is to generate data that will send random test data on its execution, and we want this script to be for a prerequisite part of the Postman. So we can see now in this video that Perplexity has generated test data. It is telling us that function, we have several variables. Can you, David, start the video from the beginning, please? Yes, thank you. So we have several variables here. As I said, lowercase letters, uppercase letters, numbers, and special characters. So then Perplexity is giving like a simple one-line description for each function or each variable which represents what. We are combining those variables to generate like one valid data of a password. Then what we're doing, what Perplexity is doing, is that it is taking into account the length that we have provided to it. It can be from 6 to 12, from 8 to 52, or etc., whichever is suitable for your business requirements. And then we are just saving this variable into a collection variable and reading from explanation of the script to a usage, what this script is about and what is the goal of this script. So Perplexity here is giving us like as much detailed description of our generated script as it is possible. If well, you might not know JavaScript fully or API testing, but at least you understand English, I assume. You will be able to just read the comments and read these explanations and just trust your intuition. Know what's best for your project, and then you can just copy this script and go to the Postman pre-request. So on the next slide, we will see how this request, how this generated script looks like in Postman. We haven't changed much, but we did adjust the main characters of this generated script. We have changed a little bit of special characters. We have taken this collection variable and passed it to body request password parameter. And each time we are executing this script, we see that on each execution, there is a random password generated. And in console, we can see the data of this random password. So the goal of changing a little bit data in the script, we changed special characters because from my perspective of business requirements, not every special character is acceptable for the password input data. Also, as I said, the length of the password, sometimes the minimum is 6, sometimes the minimum is 8. So to take into account the black box design testing techniques like boundary value analysis or equivalence partitioning, we can change the length of the minimum and maximum test data based on the requirements, and it will automatically update the collection variable that we have chosen for this request. But don't forget to save these changes to the Postman, because it doesn't often automatically save your changes. And then you will need just one execution to adjust those changes. So with this, I am answering the question that I have on the next slide about what are we changing based on our experience in this AI. So this question by itself means that we don't use artificial intelligence tools and just fully trust what responses it is giving to us. We trust all the theories that we have learned. We trust our experience, we trust our intuition, we take into account the business requirements, as I said, like user stories, and based on the generated test cases, test data, or any kind of script that is given to us, we're just modifying it on what's more suitable for us. Maybe there is something that David will change based on his experience in the log analysis that he has provided, or test data, or white box testing that he has spoken about. So we don't blindly trust it, but it does make our work life easier, and it is helping us to think about more and more scenarios which we might not fully think on the first sight. So from this is all that we have prepared with enhancing manual testing with artificial intelligence. It was a pleasure to have you today.
It was such a pleasure watching your presentation and seeing how AI can enhance manual testing. You guys have had such an excellent presentation so far. We do have a couple of questions from the audience today. First off, we have the following question. What role does AI play in improving test case management?
Okay, well, thank you for this question. So we talked about like the beginning part of manual testing, like how do we start using artificial intelligence when we start testing like several user stories. But as the time passes, um, our test cases are getting a bit old, and we needed to update those test cases, make some changes even in the test data, because the at least UI of product might change, or some logic might change. And AI is helping us to analyze the redundancies between our test cases. What has changed? What should we pay attention to? Should we like maybe archive those test cases, or fully erase? And yes, so basically, with updating test cases, AI is helping us a lot. It can tell us like should I, for example, create new test cases for provided user data, or should we just leave it as it is, because in the future it might be useful as a documentation for this product, let's say so.
Definitely. We have one more question. In a daily basis, how often do you use AI?
Well, I can actually answer that question. In short, almost daily. In my professional life, I'm using it almost every time. Not always for the same examples as we provided there. For example, I'm not using it to check my logs maybe, or analyze some PRs, because this is something I understand as a test automation engineer. But the bottom line here is that AI is a tool. It doesn't replace me in my work. It just reads me of some mundane tasks that I was like spending 1 hour, maybe 2, maybe 3 hours. And these 3 hours I can spend on doing and improving something more complex, and working on more complex test cases, developing existing ones, and just sitting here and thinking what I can improve, what I can change. The best thing there is that it helps me to develop my skills, to learn something new maybe, because AI is a good learning tool. You can use it as a teacher sometimes and stuff like this. But there is just one line that you don't need to cross. You need to understand one thing, that you cannot rely on it too much. You always need to double check your changes. Your questions need to be really exact, like concrete. What you ask, you must understand that topic. If you ask it something that you really don't understand, and it gives you answer and just you take it for granted, it's a really big mistake that's going to cause some really big trouble later.
Definitely. We do have some other speakers talking about a topic on that exact topic today, and thus leading into the next section of my closing. Stay tuned for our next sessions. We have some very interesting topics throughout the day today. Miriam, David, thank you both so much for your time today and an excellent presentation. You as the audience, if you enjoyed today's session and enjoyed this presentation specifically, head over to our website, click on their session and give them a vote. To everyone else watching, stay tuned and we'll see you in the next session. David, Miriam, thank you again so much.
Thank you for having us.